Welcome back, everyone. It's our COVID-19 series where we're interviewing people from throughout the fresh produce industry to help our consumer audience understand what's happening in the world of fruits and vegetables as all of our lives have changed. So I brought one of our dear friends and colleagues, a gentleman whose voice you're probably going to recognize right away if you've tuned into the Produce Moms podcast. He's a two-time guest. He's the president and CEO of the Idaho Potato Commission. Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lori. It's good to be back on your program. Not for the reason we're back on the program, but it's good to see you again.
Thank you, Frank. I think from our perspective, being a community of moms, there's a couple things that are top of mind. We want to know that what we're bringing into our homes is safe and healthy for our kids and for ourselves. Another thing that I think is a point of confusion for consumers and really our industry alike is we see potatoes selling well at retail. I think there's a false perception that potato farmers have endured little to no hardship here. Like their product is selling really well. So those are the two things from my perspective and point of view that I'd like to talk about. And then certainly anything else, Frank, that's important to our Idaho potato farmers that you think we need to discuss here today, we welcome that too.
It's kind of a 3-week history that feels like it's been 3 years of issues we've been dealing with over the last several days, several weeks. I can probably answer those questions right in stride as I go through the history. So when this first hit, food service is what was impacted immediately, and that represents about 60% of our volume. Quick service restaurants, full service restaurants, the full gamut, schools, hospitals, etc. So all of a sudden, potatoes that would have been going into food service were not being used. At the same time, consumers, all of a sudden they realized how important potatoes were as part of their diet, and they were cleaning out all of the potatoes that were at retail. So one of the first things we did was try to redirect the potatoes that had been channeled to go to food service as much as we could, but they go in typically in 50-pound cartons. We tried to shift those and redirect them to retail stores, and that was able to fill that gap in the pipeline that happened almost overnight.
Yeah.
We were selling more potatoes during that week than we did during the week prior to Thanksgiving. It was unprecedented.
Yeah, for this time of year especially.
We were able to shift that. Our shippers, our customers, the retail produce buyers, all worked to basically take those 50-pound cartons and put them on the retail shelves, take the lids off, and you had instant displays. That worked really well. But then, as you know, a couple of videos appeared with folks coughing on produce, which created panic across America. And so all of a sudden, there's been this push to have produce back in bags again. So again, we have a lot of large-sized potatoes that are directed to food service to now figure out how to get them in bags.
You're adding cost. I think that's something that consumers forget is each time we essentially touch the product, whether it's putting it into a bag or putting it into a box or putting it on a truck and moving it across the country, there's cost at each one of those points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we are moving potatoes back and forth, going to one place and moving them to another place, there's cost of transportation. But what we've tried to do in the Idaho potato industry is try to be as responsive as we possibly can to both our produce buyers, our retailers, and also the food service operators. We're trying to keep them operating by giving them recipe ideas, working literally throughout the day and night and trying to help them keep the doors open and keep customers flowing through takeout or order out and all those kind of things.
It's really profound when we think about how potatoes are part of every restaurant experience. Going for a quick casual drive-through meal, or if you're sitting down at a white tablecloth restaurant, potatoes are there. From breakfast to dinner, they're part of every single menu.
To snacks. They say the first bite of every meal is the potato. You're sitting there with a hamburger and french fries. What do you taste first? You pick up a french fry.
One thing that the Idaho Potato Commission has done in response to your content on your website, something that I thought was really inspiring, and it shows just how you're pivoting the way that really all of us need to be doing. I think a lot of us are pivoting, but I think that this is a great example for anyone within the supply chain that's watching. Go look at how the Idaho Potato Commission is educating their food service customers on recipes that are optimized for carryout. It's just brilliant the way you've organized these different resources for all of your stakeholders, whether it's a mom like me or a restaurant operator that's trying to stay profitable and open during such an unpredictable time.
Our field directors that are out there literally are talking to chefs, food service operators, literally around the clock and trying to help them keep going. And it's been really, I'd love to say successful, but success is in measured terms right now because you can't solve this problem overnight. One of the things we did on the retail side was redirect those larger sized potatoes back into bags. And now We send out 1,000-pound bins that are going back into retail in bags. So they're making it as quick and easy as we can to put it back on the retail shelves. And to your point to the consumer, one of the challenges we have is that first week, they were buying 30, 40, 50 pounds of potatoes. And the last thing we want to do is have those potatoes rot because they didn't know what to do with them.
Frank, I'm smiling because I just went to the grocery store and bought 15 pounds of potatoes in one trip. Now, I love potatoes. I don't know when the last time was I bought 15 pounds at once.
Gone away from the 5-pound bags now up to 10, 15 pounds, which is great. We're trying to help consumers understand from what you mentioned on our website, social media, or even radio. We're educating them on how to store potatoes and reminding them that you don't put them in the refrigerator, don't wash them before you use them, let the natural dirt that's there protect it until you're ready to do it. Rotate them in, first out. So don't just stack the new potatoes on top of the older potatoes. Rotate them as you would first in, first out. Some other creative ways we're trying to help them not only store them, but then use them. And so we've got some family-friendly, kid-friendly recipes. We even have a coloring book and fun games on our website for those parents that are just being driven crazy.
I am a 6th grade and a 4th grade teacher right now, and I'm struggling.
And you're the principal, too.
You're right, and the dean.
And the dean. And when the mom wants to complain to the dean, you're calling yourself. See, that's what our moms are faced with all across America right now.
And one thing, too, we have to talk about the simplicity of potatoes yet again. I think one reason we're buying so many of them, I'm exhausted by the time dinner comes around.
Right.
Working from home, trying to get 2 children educated, realizing I myself don't know 6th grade math. Oh, wow. Now, on top of everything, I have to cook my family a meal. And the struggle is real. I mean, it's pretty easy to just be like, I'm going to put in a frozen pizza and call it a night. Yeah. That is so tempting. But I do think that we need to make sure and educate people. The potato is such a nutrient-dense food. It can be prepared so quickly. Any of your cooking appliances, like you can microwave it, you can bake it, cut it up and saute it. Grilling, the weather's turning around here in the Midwest. I have an air fryer. The versatility, the affordability, and the
nutrition.
Yeah, the nutrient panel of a potato. It's a powerhouse.
And all your children will eat them. But what other vegetable can you say that about?
Not very many. The struggle's real. But not with potatoes.
Folks are rediscovering why the Idaho potato should be on their menu plan almost every day. And probably today, it is every day.
Are there any closing thoughts that you want to leave with our audience today, Frank? I really appreciate you coming on and helping people understand. I think one of my biggest takeaways as you were talking is, sounds like as a shopper, we're going to maybe continue to see some of these potatoes that were actually grown for the food service market. Larger size potatoes might start appearing in the 5 and 10 pound bags that we're bringing home.
Right.
And we might see bulk displays for retailers that are doing that. You're going to continue to see retailers do what they can to keep potatoes on the shelf. There is some dialogue and buzz that we're hearing about, oh, we're going to run out of potatoes now. Anything you want to talk about as it relates to the supply?
It's interesting. As we started out this crop year, I was getting calls from the media wondering if we were going to have a French fry famine.
We talked about on the podcast.
Right? What a difference 4 months makes.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to find a place selling French fries because they're closed. Well, fortunately, drive-through, we can still get them, but we've got to drive through. We can't just stop into a restaurant anymore. Yeah. What's happened is we've come full swing. We're going to have enough potatoes to meet all the demands. The challenge for us is to have the potatoes in the right place at the right time. We encourage folks to still use restaurants as they've been encouraged by ordering out, taking out. Keep your favorite restaurants in business during this difficult time. The other thing I want to add is, and we've just changed our ads that are on our social media, on our links, to thank the produce buyers out there and the merchandisers that are working overtime to restock those shelves more often than they do with less labor than they have it traditionally. We just sent out messages telling them thank you for all they're doing. In addition to what our first responders, our nurses and doctors are all doing out there, we want to say thanks to those on the produce side too.
So important. Food security is national security, and they're a big part of our ability to stay safe and healthy, which right. We are hearing at the Produce Moms. That's the common thread uniting all moms right now is, how do I know that my produce is safe and healthy?
And I should answer that question on our website, Dr. Potato. That's the number one question being asked right now. Are my potatoes safe? If
right.
somebody did cough on them, are they safe?
Right.
Yes, they're safe. Don't wash them as soon as you bring them home. Let that natural dirt stay on until you use it, then wash it. And then there's a natural kill step because you cook potatoes. So handle them like you normally would.
And we have a really great blog that was guest authored by Dr. Wendell Jones, also a former podcast guest. And it helps consumers understand that this virus is not transmitted by food or food packaging. And that the position of the FDA, as well as Canada, as well as Europe. And we know that because of the science and the facts. So that's a resource that's also available on the producemoms.com to really support what you just said, Frank. And it is important that we remind people of that every chance we get.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and thanks for all that you do.
Thank you, Lori. Stay well, stay safe.
Thank you. You too.